I don't trust the microphones today, so I'm just gonna yell at the phone. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Will somebody say yes that you can hear me through the phone since I took the microphone off? Because I don't think it was working correctly. Hello, Stacy. Can you hear me, Stacy? Crawfish cigarette. I think you're gone, but can y'all hear me? Okay, Bev, Melinda, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate y'all immensely. Okay, so y'all ready? This will be a shorter live stream. I say that every single time, but I truly, honestly mean it. 30 minutes or less. I promise. I'm paying attention to the time. We're going to talk about a couple different things. If you saw the title and you saw the thumbnail, I'm pretty sure you can already guess that we will be talking about New York City and how the people who live there are clearly stupid. All right, so we're going to get to that. Obviously, we should talk about the bombing of Iran that we did talk about a couple of days ago, but we haven't really talked about what's happened since then. And did it work? Did it not work? What it really means? The ceasefire between Israel and Iran, that Israel just said F it and still shot a bomb at Iran, and then Iran shot back. All these things. We should talk about those as well. There's a lot of random things we're going to talk about. It's been, like I said, 2 days since we saw each other, I do believe. We were out of town traveling, and I was paying more attention to what was going on with my friends and family and trying to give myself just a day or two of not being on here because I had kind of a panic attack at brunch one day, and I realized I needed to step back for just a couple minutes. So that's what I have done for my own health and sanity and safety for just a couple days. But now we're here. I'm good. Haven't had a panic attack since. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. For those of you who follow me on X, you may have seen me write about it. If you saw my husband's video, I'm pretty sure he spoke about it, the family emergency, because he was terrified I was about to fall out in the middle of a restaurant. But now I'm good. We're okay. So we're just going to jump into this. All right, let's go with a bunch of different things. So I have a bunch of stuff saved. Obviously, that's how I work here. I've got my handy dandy. These are my notes. Okay. These are my notes. And we're going to talk about a few things. Let's just go ahead firstly, obviously, and jump into New York City and the fact that they just elected a Democrat socialist as the mayor after Cuomo conceded. Now this guy, y'all, I'm just gonna pull up some information on, I think you say his name Zoran Mamdani, however the crap you say his name. I'm gonna pull up just a little bit of information because I was kind of curious about who he was. Let me show him to you first. I realized, in case you hadn't seen him, this is who they just elected as mayor in New York City. He was not born here. He was born in Africa, which, you know, Elon Musk also Africa, so South Africa specifically, so whatever. But there's a lot of people right now who are asking President Trump to call upon the Communist Control Act of 1954, which, long title here, is an act to outlaw the Communist Party to prohibit members of communist organizations from serving in certain representative capacities and for other purposes. Went into effect in 1954. The reason they're asking for that is because of this man who was, okay, so not fully elected yet, but Anita says not fully elected yet, which is true. But with Cuomo conceding, they are now saying that he is the winner. Like there is, not protest, that's the wrong word. There are, like parties going on in the streets of New York. They have also, in case you're curious, this is completely off topic, but liberals have stormed the Capitol to protest the One Big Beautiful Bill. That's what was happening about an hour and a half ago live, just FYI. But with the New York City mayor, okay, this man, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you a little background information on him because I wanted to know a little bit more before we really, I want to say rake them over the coals, but I feel like anything that you learn right now, you're going to understand exactly why non-liberal people are like, what the frack? Like, if you were alive for September 11th, 2001, for 9/11, 2001, you will remember how not just the city of New York, the state of New York, but the entire country, I mean, it was probably the most patriotic this joker has ever been in the history of the United States of America, was after September 11th. And yes, even more so than during either Vietnam War, Korean War, any of these other wars. During the September 11th, some people will say planned by our government. Some people say planned by Israeli government. Some people say it really was who they said it was. There's a lot of different opinions on what actually happened on September 11th. But the one fact that remains the same no matter what is how many Americans lost their lives in September 11th. How many firefighters have died excruciatingly from cancers, police officers, people who were in the area from the dust and everything that settled from the collapsing of the towers, right? The World Trade Centers. So that is fact. No matter what you think about how it happened or did not happen, if you think George W. Bush was behind it, if you think that he got played and Israel's behind it, whatever else, at the end of the day, we lost men and women to that attack. However it went about, we lost men and women in that attack. And children, let's not forget the children. A lot of people have died because of it. And we as a country united with the never forget, right? A lot of people over time have taken that and turned it into some, in my opinion, bullshit, because you'll see during hurricane season somebody's chair will, there's this meme that goes around where a chair is falling over and they'll say never forget, meaning it wasn't that big a deal, whatever else. And I'm like, either y'all were not alive when 9/11 happened, or you weren't old enough to remember exactly how you felt when it happened. And I talk about it to y'all all the time, exactly where I was. It will forever be ingrained in my brain, right? And I think that people right now who are voting in New York City, who voted for this man to become their next mayor, either were not alive during 9/11, do not care about America, aren't actual citizens, or because you know how they brought in a bunch of people to be able to vote so that they could, you know, pad their pockets, Democrats and whatever else. There's a lot of issues right now. For me personally, no, I do not live in New York City. My husband is from New York City, though, like the surrounding boroughs. He is from New York, Queens specifically. And so I have love for New York. Y'all may not have ever noticed this, but I have it's upside down, but I have New York City tattooed on my wrist because that is where my husband and his family are from, and I have a deep love for New York City and used to be the people of it. Like right now, I have to question everything because they're voting in a man who is a proclaimed socialist. Absolutely ridiculous to me. So I asked Grok to give me the facts, not any BS from any left-leaning organizations, left media, whatever else, right? I said, just give me information on this man, Zoran Kwame Mamdani, whatever. I said, who was he? Who was he before he decided to run for the mayor of New York City? Let's just figure this out. Who was he? And, you know, he served as a New York State Assembly member from 2021 to now, right? For Queens. He was part of Queens. Said he focused on the housing reform, he focused on transportation and energy, which are things that Democrats generally focus on, Republicans too. It's not just a left or right thing. We are all focused on housing reform, transportation, and energy, just sometimes we look at it differently than they look at it and vice versa, right? So he was elected in 2020, defeating a 4-term incumbent and re-elected unopposed. So he's been part of the New York State Assembly for a while, since 2020. And then he was in foreclosure prevention. He was part of community organizations. He moonlighted as a rapper who rapped about just really stupid things. And if you've heard any of his stuff, which I tried not to listen to, but I did notice that some of the stuff was very anti-American in my personal opinion. I didn't save any of it here to play for you. You can look it up. Just be aware it's not good. That's why he didn't, you know, make it. But one of them, which was interesting to me, he co-founded the Students for Justice in Palestine chapter at Bowdoin College, where he earned a bachelor's degree in Africana Studies. So we all know he's going to be waving a Palestinian flag at some point, I'm sure. He is Muslim, which a lot of people have an issue with, the fact that he is Muslim and not of a faith that they believe that a New York City mayor should be of, right? And I can understand that. Because I asked Grok, I said, what is his actual faith? Like, what is he? And they said he is Muslim. And then I said, what political party does he most align with given his way of thinking and platform promises? Not what he says he is, but what does he actually most align with? Because you can say one thing and your actions give a completely different view or picture of what you really are, right? So I said, based off everything that you have seen in his platform, that he has done, that he has rapped, all these other things, what is he actually? And it said he is he mostly aligns with the Democratic Party, specifically its progressive and democratic socialist wing, based on its political platform, affiliations, and actions. And so then you're like, okay, well, what's a democratic socialist? Let's just break it down like we're fifth graders who don't know. And so Democratic Socialists of America, which is a thing, the DSA affiliation, it says he is a proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America, a left-wing organization that advocates for socialist policies within and alongside the Democratic Party. He identifies as a Democratic Socialist, a stance reinforced by his involvement in DSA's Socialist in Office bloc and his public support for DSA initiatives. His platform reflects DSA priorities such as wealth redistribution and public ownership services. So then, of course, you look to kind of see exactly what that means. And what he is basically, his whole platform is aimed at morons. That's the nicest way I know how to put this. As Marvin said, we used to call them communists. And that is exactly why right now they want to enact the Communist Control Act of 1954, because it seems the mofo is a communist, okay? But what's crazy is my husband and I were talking about this morning. We're sitting down having coffee, and I said, babe, listen to this. And I said, how stupid are these people in New York? Like, how do they not realize what they're voting for? And he says it's because you have to think about who's voting. It's 18-year-olds for the first time. It's 21-year-olds. It's all these people who have been convinced through social media and everything else and the previous administration that they deserve everything for nothing, that they are entitled to everything for nothing, that everybody should have the same everything for doing nothing, and that if they aren't getting their way, it's because they're oppressed. It's because they are being held back. They're being held down. They're being subjected to unfairness, right? And I have an almost 16-year-old daughter. And we were talking about with her on our car ride home from Nashville yesterday. It's a 7.5-hour drive home. A lot of conversation to be had in 7.5 hours. And we talked about former President Biden and Kamala Harris and what they were like. We talked about current President Trump and J.D. Vance and what's going on with Israel and Iran. We talked about what would have happened if Kamala had been president versus the fact that Trump won. Where would we be right now? And then we talked about the fact that unfortunately people in her age group are the next wave of voters for the president of the United States, and kids her age are dumb as dirt because they are being raised by social media. They're being raised by TikTok. They're being raised by Instagram. They're being raised, hell, even by YouTube. Like, you know what I mean? I know I am not the sharpest crayon in the box, brightest bulb in the whatever, all those little things. I understand that. But at least I try to get the facts and the information instead of just blatantly lying like a lot of people do on social media. I've had my daughter send me a screenshot of a TikTok and go, is this real or not real? And I'll say, clearly not real. And I tell her all the time, I said, you have to be able to figure out for yourself what's real and what's not real, but also don't be afraid to have conversations with people trying to figure out what's real or not real. I said, but if you're gonna have the conversation, you can't only have it with people over here. You still need to have that conversation with people over here, because when you listen to both sides of a conversation, it helps you really understand where both sides are coming from and which side is stupid and which side is correct. And then it helps you make up your opinion and your mind on what you believe to be the correct way of things or the truth behind things, right? So we're talking about the fact that these kids are the ones who are voting right now in these smaller, which, I mean, a mayor is still a big election. It's not the president, but it's still a massive election. We're talking about the fact that these people are basing their votes off of vibes. Because that's the thing, the vibe. Oh, he seems cool. He's got a vibe. Bitch, that will not keep you alive. That will not keep the lights on in your neighborhoods. That will not keep food in your grocery stores. That will not keep criminals out of your front yard or your house. That will not help you. A vibe is not going to do anything. I can have the best vibe all day long, but if I am literally dumb as shit and lying to you on a daily basis, I would really hope you would not pay attention to my vibe and you would just go away. So these people that are voting for this guy in New York City, you have to wonder how dumb, have they become over time that they're more interested in a vibe than what socialism actually is. There is a TikTok video going around of some girl, she's probably 19 or 20, long brown hair, cute little thing, right? Cute little thing, on the side of the street in New York City, and guy walks up with his microphone, because you know that's what they do, like to go up with microphones and go, hey, who are you voting for? And she says, I'm voting for this dipshit here. And he goes, how do you feel about socialism? She's like, well, I don't like socialism. I think socialism is bad. And he's like, well, then why did you vote for this guy? Like, he's a socialist. And then she's like, oh, so you voted without knowing, like, what's what? It's going to be a problem, because it will continue on. It will continue on. They're going to vote for that. And then when they don't get their way or don't get what they want, they're going to vote for the next person that comes along with the right vibe that they want. It's all going to be a complete show. So this guy that is in theory going to be the next mayor of New York City, Mamdani, or however the crap you say his name, he fully 100% believes that with what socialists believe. So socialist is someone who advocates for or supports socialism, a political and economic system where the means of production, distribution, and exchange are owned or regulated collectively, often by a state or community, to prioritize social welfare and reduce inequality. Socialists generally believe in, and I'm sure this is all, you guys know this, but for those of you who don't, this is our learning moment, right? Collective ownership. Key industries, resources, or services like healthcare and utilities should be publicly owned or cooperatively managed rather than controlled by private corporations for profit. Some people will agree with that when it comes to the healthcare system, because it has gone wonky over the years, right? Economic equality. Wealth and resources should be distributed more equitably, often through progressive taxation, wealth redistribution, or public programs like universal health care and education. Let me explain something to you. This wealth redistribution can kiss my entire ass. If I am working as hard as humanly possible to make money to take care of my family, I am not just going to hand it to you because you did not want to work as hard as humanly possible to take care of your family. I'm not redistributing anything, redistributing anything to anybody. I have to pay taxes, or they're going to put a lien on my house, but besides that, hell no. The whole problem here is, here's what people don't understand, especially in New York City, and I don't understand this. Where are you going to keep pulling money from if every single person just doesn't do anything because they're so lazy, because it's already being equally given out? They're like, I don't have to do shit. There's some lady on, my husband was telling me about, she's on Section 8, and she was telling her kids that they can't get jobs because then they would lose their Section 8 housing. So she would rather them stay lazy and supported by the government, which, i.e. your taxpayer dollars and my taxpayer dollars, than them get a job, because then she would have to actually pay for stuff and they would all have to work. That is what New York City is voting for right now. The ability to sit on your ass and be as lazy as possible and wait for somebody to hand you everything. What happens when there's nobody left to hand you stuff because you've milked everything to death? The crumbling of New York City would be absolutely ridiculous. You can't say that they enjoyed seeing what the Democrat Party did with the illegal immigrants there, how they gave them money, they gave them food, they put them up in ritzy hotels while their own citizens are on the road, on the sidewalks without a place to live, with no food, whatever else. And this person who is trying to become mayor, he is all for defund the police. He wants to, oh, did I save it? Oh, I hope I saved it. I sent it to my husband. I bet it was on my other phone. I bet it was on my phone and not in here. Son of a beach, Michelle. Really? This is what we're doing? This is what he posted before. This is the guy for the mayor, right? I know it's backwards. I'm sorry. He said, we don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need to do is defund the NYPD. Now, that's obviously an older one, when defund the police was a huge thing. But what's funny is this Muslim calling the police anti-queer, when Muslims will literally stone you to death if you're a queer. Like, I mean, the irony is not lost on me at all there. It's crazy that the people that are running out to vote for this man are the same people that if they were in a country that was Muslim supported, they would be hanged, beaten, jailed for being lesbians or queers or gay or bi or whatever you call it, trans, hello, just don't even ask what they're going to do to you there. Probably feed you to the goats, I don't know. But, and then a woman, next thing you know, in New York City, you're going to have to cover your whole head, your whole face, or whatever. Do you know how half naked people walk around in New York City? Can you imagine the change that would have to take place to go from Kardashian naked to fully covered up like they are? Like those people, I don't know what to call all the things they wear. That's not on me to know, because that's not my religion, and so there's that. But what's crazy, this was posted, and I want to show this to you because this is what I thought was funny. He's not from Iran, so it's not like that funny, but it said Zoran Mamdani wins an NYC mayoral primary, Iran's first sleeper cell activated, right? He's not from Iran. He's from Africa, so it's not whatever. But a lot of people are worried about something like that because this is gonna sound some type of way, and I fully understand it, but it is what it is. The Muslim takeover has been a huge thing around the world lately. Look at the UK, look at all these other places where Muslim takeover it is occurring, and it gives people, I think, the right to kind of be on edge or eggshells or whatever about this man being the mayor in New York City. I worry all the time about the Trojan horse, right? You bring in the Trojan horse like it's a great thing, it's a gift, it's whatever else, and when nobody's looking, out comes destruction. Well, this man, he's been part of New York City for the past couple years in Queens, trying to, make them like him, love him, whatever else. And now he's about to have one of the highest positions you can have, which still not born here. I don't personally agree with the fact that you could be a mayor or a governor or a president if you're not born here in the United States. I think you need to be a natural born citizen, not a green carded individual or a visaed individual, right? In order to have those type of positions within this country. That's my personal opinion. And people will say, well, the founding fathers weren't born here. Well, okay, so that's all I got for you. So what? They made the rules, and the rules should be that you have to be born here from then on out. Like, rules for thee, but not for me. Anyway, this whole situation sounds racist as hell. I fully understand it when you talk about it. It sounds completely racist. It sounds like you're against other religions. It sounds like whatever, and it can sound like that all day long because history has taught us that when we have issues and worries about things, it's because things in history has taught us to have issues and worries about things. Right. So that's that. It's just crazy to me, the whole 9/11 and then this guy being, it's just, I don't personally understand it. I don't care if it makes me seem some type of way. It is what it is. It's not okay in my opinion. Now, let's move over here real quick, completely off topic to, you guys have heard, and this is not political at all, right? But you guys have heard of Sean P. Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, the guy who's been in court for the however longest time for just being a sick mofo with all the baby oil and the drugging of children and the young, because they're saying kids and all this other stuff. And I don't know if you've been following it. I'm not going to get into it. It's not where I want to be over here with that. They dropped the charges against him. Just FYI. I mean, I saw the video of him beating Cassie, his girlfriend at the time, and dragging her. We've heard the testimonies from a lot of people or seen them if you've paid attention to it on any social media platforms or whatever else. But according to this happened today, yesterday, June 24th. This was says, Dear Judge Subramanian, whatever. The government respectfully writes regarding its requested edits to the court's proposed jury instructions, blah, 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 blah. Hold on. Let's see. Specifically, the government has removed instructions. Nope, that's not the right words that I want. I'm reading the wrong one too. But either way, they dropped the charges against P. Diddy Combs. So that's that. That's crazy to me. It's out of everything that's going on. It feels like while we're all looking at Israel and Iran, look what just happened with Diddy. They're gonna let that joker walk free. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Breaking. The charges against Sean P. Diddy Combs were just dropped by prosecutors. WTF. Like, what? Anyway, That's in and of itself is absolutely ridiculous. That was on Derek Evans over on X. He's always on point there, talking about them being dropped. And then there's the paperwork that is up here somewhere that I was trying to find so I can show you. But either way, that's crazy. So just keep an eye out. Some of the charges being dropped is enough for me. All of them should stay, because I think they tried to drop the kidnapping one. Is that right, Sarah? I know some of them. So Sarah says kidnapping, arson, sex trafficking. Are those the ones they dropped? Because those seem to be like the main ones that we've clearly seen proof of. So either way, let's move away from that. The other thing I want to mention to you is there are crazy people. Look at this. This is, look at this lady. She's a Democrat, literally cutting her hair off in protest of budget cuts. Can anybody explain to me how that is helpful to anything that is going on? So, like, cutting your hair did what? I don't understand what that did. This is in San Francisco, which makes perfect sense, but hearing this is the mayor's proposed budget for departments, budget and appropriation ordinance / annual salary ordinance for departments fiscal years 25, 26, whatever. And this lady walks up and cuts all her hair off to protest the budget cuts. Bitch, now you just have short hair. Like, I don't know what you want, what you thought you were going to get. Oh, she's cutting her hair. Never mind. Don't cut the budgets. She cut her hair. Oh, gosh, that really hurts me. Right here. Democrats are stupid. And I mean that in the nicest way humanly possible, with the utmost respect, obviously. No offense intended. What's also funny, side note, Bernie Sanders. Y'all see Bernie here? That man needs a brush, number one. To be that old and not have figured out that you cannot walk around looking like you just stuck your finger in a light socket. He went on the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan will talk to anybody. He wants everybody on his podcast. Remember, he wanted Kamala on there. He wanted all these people on there. He talks to everybody. He had a 3-hour sit down with President Trump. He talked to Elon Musk. He's had JD Vance. He's had literally everybody. And Bernie Sanders went on there. What's funny is Bernie Sanders posted on X that he said, I talked to Joe Rogan about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the corrupting influence of billionaire super PACs on both political parties. That's all Bernie says. What Bernie doesn't say is that he got irritated with the fact that Joe Rogan was going back and basically pointing out where Bernie was full of shit, and Bernie unclipped his mic and walked off the set. He forgot to mention that part. Bernie Sanders doesn't want his side to know that he threw a little bitch fit and just walked out of the interview because he did not like the fact that Joe Rogan was going up against him and pointing out where Bernie was incorrect. I think that that's the problem, okay? To me, that's the problem. That the left doesn't show you the lead up or the aftermath. They show you itty bitty right in the middle of what they want you to see. Which is like I've told you guys numerous times before, I am a reformed libtard. I used to be what I guess people would consider liberal or Democrat, because I would watch that and go, oh, that's great that Bernie went on there, and never think anything of it, and never go, well, I wonder what he did in the beginning of the interview. I wonder how the interview ended. I wonder what else he talked about besides this 30-second clip that he decided to put up so we could all hear him make his point, right? So that's what I think is interesting, because I feel like on the, not just the Republican side, the conservative side, but the non-retarded side, I'm going to put it that way, the non-stupid side, that you get more of the information. You get more of the before, the middle, and the after. You get the whole story so that you can make a more informed decision or opinion on what you're looking at and hearing. Whereas the left does not want you to have any of that. You have right now, you still have Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders. It's always the same 3 people that are posting all over X and social media like they have a script, talking about how much money is going to be taken away from Medicare, Medicaid for with Trump's one big beautiful bill, but they forget to say, because they're taking it away from illegal aliens, immigrants, whatever word you want to use. They're taking it away from people who can clearly work and don't need to be on it. They're taking it away from the people who are, bending the system over and effing it and having fun doing it. They're taking that away, but they aren't going to tell you that. They just want to make the people who rely on Medicare and Medicaid and things like that. They just want to scare them into thinking that President Trump is doing something that's going to hurt them. Well, no, if you're legitimately part of Medicare or Medicaid, guess what? You're going to be fine. It doesn't affect you. If you're not an illegal immigrant who's been handed all this stuff illegally, then you don't need to worry. And if you cannot work or cannot cannot do the things that they say you should not be able to do, how do I phrase this? Either way, y'all know who you are. You're fine. Generally, I'm pretty sure the majority of American citizens are perfectly fine. The other thing they're talking about right now is, especially Chuck Schumer, getting up there talking about how, and AOC, bless her dumbass heart, talking about, and Jasmine Crockett, oh my God, talking about how President Trump needs to be impeached for dropping bombs on Iran, but at the same time, they did not get up and run their mouths about impeaching Obama, impeaching Biden. They didn't even talk about impeaching George W. Bush. They didn't talk about impeaching Clinton. All the other previous presidents who have bombed places without congressional approval, but now suddenly, because it's President Trump, they're all up in arms over it. Bunch of morons. Okay, y'all, because I do literally have to go. I have to be inside in 3 minutes. I want to end with this. Okay, are you ready for this? And this is where it sounds real racist, but it's because it's accurate. And sometimes the two things are the same thing. Muslims hate pork, beer, dogs, bikinis, Jesus, and freedom of speech. My question is, why the hell do they come to America? Now, again, it sounds racist. It's not meant to. But for a person to have to be part of a faith that literally shits on everything that makes America America, how do you make that person a mayor and expect them to uphold what makes America America? So that, just out of curiosity, I don't really see how that can work. It doesn't really make sense to me, but that's it. So that's all. I love y'all immensely. I will do more a little bit later on today, but I got to run inside now. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your afternoon until we see each other again. And thanks for letting me have this weird racist but not racist conversation with you about the new possible mayor of New York City and why he should not be there and how New York City is basically setting itself on fire with this. Okay? Okay, I love y'all. Goodbye.